Hey guys, I'm back. How are you doing? I hope you're doing great and I hope you have great holidays this year. I was going to draw a little Christmas hat on my little rat here, but I forgot and then I didn't have time, so sorry about that. So, as I've said before, there are a lot of popular book series that I still need to read that I think I'll really enjoy. So, my goal for 2025 is to read or start at least the 10 series in this list. I picked 5 fantasy series and 5 sci fi series to keep things balanced. If there are popular books that you would recommend that aren't on this list and you think I'll enjoy them, let me know. I'm always happy to receive recommendations to keep my TBR list growing. So, here are the 10 book series that I want to read in 2025. Number 1, the Sun Eater series by Christopher Rockhill. The Sun Eater series starts with Book 1, Empire of Silence, where, as the synopsis says, a man revered as a hero and despised as a murderer tells his tale in this galaxy-spanning series, merging the best of space opera and epic fantasy. I've had my eye on Empire of Silence for a while now. As a huge fan of massive space opera series, Sun Eater is high on my priority list, and I've already bought Empire of Silence, so I'll start it pretty soon, and it will probably be one of the first books I read in January. I've heard this is a series with great story and characters, so I'm excited to experience it, and I really hope I like it. I'm gonna be sad if I don't, because I desperately need a new huge space opera to get obsessed with. Fantasy is amazing, but my roots are in space operas, you know? It's been a while since I've read one that I loved, so fingers crossed that Sun Eater is the one. Number 2, Farseer Trilogy by Robin Hobb. The Farseer Trilogy, part of the Realm of the Elderling series, starts off with Assassin's Apprentice. This fantasy book is set in a faraway land following Fitz, a young boy royal bastard who was cast out into the world and lives friendless and lonely. He has a magical link with animals, the only thing that gives him solace and companionship in his life. When he is finally adopted into the royal household, he must give up his old ways and learn to become a royal assassin. This list for 2025 is all about me getting educated on popular series and authors that I need to start reading, so of course, I need to get into Robin Hobb's work. I've recently bought Assassin's Apprentice in the same book haul where I got Empire of Silence, so this will probably be also one of my first reads of 2025. Ever since I got into reading and joined book communities online, I keep hearing about how Robin Hobb is the queen of fantasy and how amazing this series is and how great the characters are. So I've had my eye on it for a while, so it's finally time. I know this first trilogy is part of a larger saga in this world, so there will be a lot more books to read if I like this one, which is amazing. I'm someone who loves long series. I guess I don't have commitment issues, I guess. Number 3, Empire of the Wolf Trilogy by Richard Swan. The Empire of the Wolf begins with Justice of Kings, where law, power, and loyalty collide. Sir Conrad von Walt, a feared justice wielding both sword and sorcery, and his apprentice Helena investigate a murder that unravels a conspiracy threatening the Empire itself. I've had the Justice of Kings for a while now, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I'm curious about this trilogy. Especially because I've heard the next 2 books get really into some cosmic horror eldritch territory, so that really grabbed my attention. Even if by some reason I don't really like this first book, I'll probably still continue with the rest of the trilogy, just based on that information alone, because I'm a sucker for cosmic horror, and one of my other goals for 2025 is to read more books and series with cosmic horror, so Empire of the Wolf fits that criteria. Number 4, the Broken Earth Trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. The trilogy begins with the 5th season, set in the Stillness, a world perpetually on the brink of ruin. The story starts with a fractured continent, a murdered son, and a missing daughter, weaving a tale of betrayal, survival, and the power of the Earth itself. This trilogy is an interesting one because I've heard so many people rave about it and recommend it, but I actually have no idea what it is about exactly. So I'm going to get into this first book completely blind, because the synopsis isn't that clear either. It mentions the world ending, a rift, death, betrayal, so yeah, that's pretty much all I know. It sounds a little too dystopian to my taste. I'm not really into dystopian books, but it still sounds really interesting, so I'm intrigued to read this. Number 5, The Red Rising Saga by Pierce Brown. The series begins with Red Rising, where Darrow, a member of the oppressed Red Caste, discovers the lies underpinning his society on Mars. Betrayed and enslaved, he sacrifices everything to infiltrate the elite Gold's Caste Institute. In this tale of rebellion and survival, Darrow fights to overthrow the oppressive system, even if it means becoming like those he seeks to destroy. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little hesitant about this series. While I've heard a lot of praise for it, I've also heard a lot of complaints that align with stuff that I usually also don't like in books, like not that great writing, weak female characters, and, a boring chosen one male protagonist. Most of this criticism comes from the first book, and people usually say that the series gets better in the second book, so since, like I said, I love space operas, I'm going to give this a chance and read the first 2 books with an open mind. Since there's a high chance I won't like the first, I'll still read the second to see if I like it better and if it's worth for me to continue. And who knows, maybe I'll end up loving it. I hope so. Number 6, Hyperion Cantos by Dan Simmons. The series begins with Hyperion, where 7 pilgrims journey to the enigmatic world of Hyperion, home to the mysterious Shrike and the Time Tombs, which move backward through time. On the brink of galactic war, each pilgrim seeks answers to the riddles of their past, carrying desperate hopes and dark secrets. Okay, so I've already read Hyperion, disclaimer, and I liked it, although probably not as much as I thought I would, but the truth is that I probably couldn't appreciate it when I read it, because I read it really early in my reading journey when I started picking up books again, like 2 or 3 years ago. So now that I've read more books and I've redefined my tastes a bit more, I want to reread Hyperion and then maybe continue on with the series, because when Hyperion was good, it was so good that I still think about certain moments all the time, so I want to read it again and see what I think about it. I just find the whole concept of the Shrike and the Time Tomb so interesting that I really want to get back into this series and I really want to love it, so yeah, this is another one that I want to read and then continue. Also, the book covers are amazing. I love this type of vintage sci-fi look that these covers have, so yeah, I want to grab them. Number 7, Malazan, Book of the Fallen by Steven Erikson. This epic series begins with Gardens of the Moon, introducing a world of gods, mortals, and ascendants locked in a vast web of conflict and ambition. Following an array of characters from soldiers and mages to gods and monsters, it tells stories of betrayal, war, and survival across continents and millennia. This series is known for its intricate world building and complex characters. I've already read the first 2 books, and if you've taken a peek at my channel before, you already know that it's no surprise that I'm absolutely obsessed with this series already. I don't know if I'll finish it at all in 2025, partially because it's so long, but also because I really want to take my time with it and really digest each new book I read. But I think by the end of the next year, I'll have most of it read. And yeah, I'm loving it. There's a high chance this will end up becoming my favorite series of all time. I love the characters, the lore, the world building. I love the way Steven Erikson writes. He has beautiful prose without being too purple. And I'll be reading Memories of Ice either in January or beginning of February at the latest, and I can't wait. Number 8, The Hainish Cycle by Ursula K. Le Guin. The Hainish Cycle is a series of interconnected stories set in a universe where humans across many planets share a common ancestry. Beginning with Rokanan's world, these standalone yet thematically linked tales explore ideas of culture, politics, gender, and communication. I've already read 2 books from Ursula Le Guin that belong in this series of connected standalones, The Dispossessed and The Left Hand of Darkness, and both immediately got a place in my list of favorite books of this year, and Le Guin is currently the frontrunner to becoming my favorite author. So I really want to read as many of her books as I can next year, and that includes The Hainish Cycle. She has the most beautiful writing style that I've ever read. She can say so much with a single line or a single paragraph. all while still being fairly accessible and easy to read. So yeah, love you, Ursula. Number 9, Earthsea Cycle by Ursula K. Le Guin. Set in a vast archipelago of islands where magic is an integral part of life. The story follows Ged, or Jed, whatever how that's pronounced, a young wizard as he learns the true cost of power and the importance of balance. With its timeless themes of identity, destiny, and the nature of good and evil, this beautiful written series is a cornerstone of classic fantasy literature. Continuing on with my plans to read more Le Guin, I of course have to include the Earthsea Cycle as well, but perhaps the series she is most known for. I've heard a lot of good things about it, and having read 2 of her speculative fiction books from the Hainish cycle that comment on things like culture, politics and genre, I'm very curious to learn about the version of Le Guin that writes books about dragons and wizards. Number 10, the final architecture trilogy by Adrian Tchaikovsky. The trilogy begins with Shards of Earth, set in a future where humanity is on the brink of extinction after facing the architect's moon-sized entities capable of reshaping planets into grotesque works of art. The story follows Idris, a man genetically altered to confront these titanic foes, as he becomes embroiled in a desperate quest to uncover the truth about the architects and save humanity. I have mixed feelings about the expectations that I have for this series. I read Children of Time, and while I had a great time with it when it came to the actual story and themes, especially with the sections related to the spiders, because even being an arachnophobe myself, that book for a while almost healed me, because I was so sympathetic towards those creatures in the book. But when it came to the human characters, I could not have cared less. I thought they were so uninteresting and flat and not worth spending time with. So that's what makes me have mixed feelings with this trilogy. This is the way my brain works. If I'm reading a standalone book, and I know Children of Time isn't a standalone book, but it can be read as one. If I'm reading a sci-fi standalone book, my priority is the story and the themes presented, because I'm a nerd and I think space is really cool and scary, and I think astrophysics is really fun. And that can keep me going for an entire book with a good story, even if the characters aren't nothing special. That's why I love to read Arthur C. Clarke and why I enjoyed Children of Time. However, if I'm reading multiple books, then just being a space nerd isn't enough anymore. And if I'm spending so much time with the same set of characters across multiple books, I better think they are interesting, otherwise my enjoyment of the series or trilogy will go down. So that's a long ramble to say I want to read this trilogy, because it feels very cosmic horror, but after book 1 I'll make a judgment on it based on if the human characters are more interesting than they are in Children of Time. And yeah, those are the 10 series I'm planning to read in 2025. What series are you guys planning to read next year, and what do you think of my choices? Let me know. And if you're new here and want to learn more about my tastes, check out my booktube newbie tag. Thanks for watching!